So, the SPF label has been revered as the staple method for determining whether a product defends well or poorly against sunlight. SPF, or otherwise known as the sun protection factor, measures sunscreen protection from UVB rays, the kind that cause sunburns and contribute to skin cancer. However, many people, including myself, are not knowledgeable on how to read the SPF label or know the differences between the actual different levels. In this lab, I investigated the preventative properties of an SPF product as well as the effectiveness of the SPF scaling. My objective was to find out which level of SPF protects the skin from UVB rays most effectively, and I also kind of wanted to learn more information about UV radiation as well as how to conduct experiments using the UV probe, which I had not used before. So the hypothesis for the lab was if the value of the SPF is higher, then the product would be able to block the sun's UVB rays from the surface of a piece of film more effectively. In other words, depending on the SPF, the higher the value of the SPF gets, the better it will be able to block the sun's UV rays from the surface of the plastic film. So for this experiment, the materials we used were the Vernier LabQuest UV LabQuest Vernier, the sun lotions with different SPF, sun protection factor. That is one with 45, one with 50, and one with 70, I do believe. Yes. Um, on top of that, we used a plastic wrap, a paraffin wax, that's parafilm, and a Vernier UVB probe sensor. So the procedure was as follows. Um, First, we did the background research so that we're knowledgeable about the terms, concepts, and all the questions we have. Then we make our measurements in a room with no factors that could bother our experiment. Tear off a piece of, no, Step 3 is to tear off a piece of plastic film and hold it over the detector. Make sure that only the plastic is between the light and the detector, and you have to be careful to avoid casting a shadow on the detector as this will skew results. Then record the UV index reading. This will be the control reading and will be a baseline for you to compare the other readings to see if they increase or decrease. Now, the next step is to cover the plastic film with a thin uniform layer of the first sun lotion, that is the 70 SPF. Apply it lightly and allow it to dry slightly, then hold it over the detector and record the UV rating. Then repeat the measurements for each lotion that you are testing. Once you have gone through all of the lotions, go back and repeat the measurements once more. Calculate the average UV index reduction for each sun lotion by adding the values from your 3 independent measurements and dividing the result by 2. Compare the UV index reduction for each SPF. This will show which sun lotion is most effective at blocking UV and if they're consistent. So, for the results, we had